Much better. Now, before I get into this week's video, I just want to say it's amazing how a little tool like this, just this one little bolt, can completely derail your plans. If you're not sure what this is one of the many bolts that you use if you want to attach your GoPro to anything. And it could be a tripod, a plate to attach it to your bag strap like I've got on mine when I use it there, or even the suction cup in the car so that I can do time lapses when I'm driving somewhere in either shorts or other videos. But because I forgot to bring this out with me when I went out to do sunset at Arun recently, I wasn't able to get time lapse of any sunsets, and I had to miss out on that, which sucks, but learn from that experience. Make sure you've got everything you need before you leave the house, because you never know when something small like this can completely mess up your day. On to this week's topic. This week I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit controversial, but it comes up in all aspects of our lives, and that's how to stay healthy. But what I was never really able to find a lot of information on is how can you stay healthy as a photographer, because we spend a lot of our time doing what I'm doing right now, which is sitting down. I know some of you might be thinking, what is Pien smoking? Can I have some? I'm not smoking anything. It's just I've lived a healthy lifestyle, I've lived an unhealthy lifestyle, I've had a few health concerns that I've had to look after in the past few years, and I tried to find ways that I could live a lifestyle that would keep me healthy but also help me be a more efficient photographer, in that I have the strength and the energy to do what I want to do whenever I go out and take photos, and not worry about gassing out or becoming overly tired, so to speak. Now, before I go into any information though, full disclosure, I'm not a medical professional. Don't take anything I say from this video as medical advice. If you do want medical advice, go talk to your doctor, a general practitioner, whoever it may be, and listen to their advice, because they're trained on what to do. My knowledge comes from my own knowledge, because I was a personal trainer in a previous life, but also living through it and talking to colleagues and friends and how they have been able to change their lifestyles to try and be healthier to fit their needs as well. That's where a lot of this information today is coming from. Now, don't worry, I'm not changing into a health channel where I'm going to say you have to exercise 10 minutes a day or whatever the case may be. What I will do is I will give you as much information as I can without droning on too much and going too far down the rabbit hole, as I have a tendency to do. This is one thing that has changed since I got back to Thailand, is I'm now drinking 4 liters of water a day, but when you factor in how much you sweat here, you pretty much need it. So what are ways that photographers can try and be a little bit healthier? Well, there's lots of different ways depending on your lifestyle. There are easy ways and there are hard ways, and there are some ways that require lots of effort and some ways that don't require any effort at all. It's down to what your current situation is and your preferences. I did mention previously that as photographers, we spend a lot of time doing exactly what I'm doing right now, which is sitting down. Now, I know they say sitting is the new smoking, and that sitting for long periods of time at your desk is as detrimental to your health as smoking is. So what are simple things that we can do about that? Well, one of the easiest things you can do, maybe not the cheapest, but the easiest, is get a standing desk. I actually don't have a standing desk. That one's not standing. It's just a nice tabletop sitting on some IKEA drawers. And so that's an easy but maybe not a cheap thing to do. And I've had friends that they went from a seated desk to get a standing desk, and granted they may only use it 1 or 2 hours a day instead of 5 or 6 like they initially wanted to. But they did notice that just by using it for 1 to 2 hours a day, they actually felt a little bit more energetic and they felt better, because they're not just sitting there at their desk all the time. They're actually standing when they're doing emails or being on the phone, whatever it may be. And that's another thing you can actually do on the phone, is don't sit at your desk. Get up and go for a walk whilst you're on the phone. Even if it's around your apartment, don't just sit there. When I was doing my corporate job before back in Sydney, and I knew I had a phone call that I didn't have to be in front of the computer for, I would literally do laps around the office because it was better than sitting there. So that's an easy thing you can do. If you know you're going to be on the phone and you don't have to be in front of your computer, get up and go for a walk. A big one I've noticed, and this is one that any good personal trainer will preach to you, is that what you eat is so much more important than what you physically do. I tested this on myself. For 1 week, I ate nothing but crap. I was eating chocolates and biscuits and junk food and you name it. I had no energy. I couldn't lift anything. When I went to the gym, I felt weak and lethargic. And when I went out to take photos, it was very easy to get tired carrying that bag around compared to the weeks where I ate absolutely healthy. Now, I'm not saying you have to always eat healthy, because I certainly don't. I love my junk food as much as the next guy. If you offer me KFC, I will happily say yes. And depending on the biscuits, I will happily say yes to. So, do you always have to eat perfectly healthy? No, in my experience you don't. But if you don't want to gain weight, just make sure you're not eating more than your body needs on a daily basis. It's literally that easy. If you eat less than what your body needs, you lose weight. If you eat more than what your body needs, you gain weight. And I noticed that when I ate healthy, I had the energy to do what I wanted, and when I didn't have the energy. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of nutrition as to why eating healthy doesn't give you energy and all that stuff, because that will be a whole, not just a video, but a whole channel dedicated to it and all the nuances. But the basic takeaway I had was, you want to lose weight, eat less than what you need. You want to gain weight, eat more than what you need. But let's be specific to landscape photography now. If you remember, I've got this really, really big bag, which is actually too big for Bangkok, so I don't even use it anymore. But when I was in Sydney, this was my go-to bag. And when I had it fully loaded with 2 cameras, 3 lenses, tripods, food, drink, and whatnot, it was easily 10 to 15 kilos. And I know other photographers who have even more equipment than me and go out and do their photos and videos, and their bag can weigh up to 20 kilos, which already sounds like a nightmare to walk around with. And if you do that on a regular basis, it will eventually take its toll on your body as well if your back and your body isn't strong enough to handle it. So what have I done to make sure that's not a future concern for me, and hopefully it's something that you can apply to you as well if it is something you need. Now, remember earlier I said I was a personal trainer back in Australia, years ago in a previous life? Well, I took that knowledge of what I learned when I was a trainer, figured out exactly what I needed to do to myself to be able to carry that bag, and then applied it accordingly. I did also have the task of trying to lose 8 kilos in that time frame, so I modified a training program I used to use 15 years ago, maybe? Close to 15 years ago, but I tailored it more towards core strength more so than just how big my muscles can get, because I'm nearly 40. I don't care how big my muscles get anymore. I care that I'm healthy. And I made sure that I went to the gym 3 times a week, and every single session I focused on strengthening that core. It's a lot easier now to walk around with that bag than any time last year in Sydney, especially during the lockdown we had for 3 months when I did not do any exercise whatsoever. I also make sure I don't sit at my desk for too long. As comfortable as it is to sit at my desk with, if you have monitors like this, you don't want to get up, but I make sure I get up every hour. So even if it's just, to go get a quick drink, walk around for 5 minutes on the phone, whatever the case may be, I don't just sit there for hours and hours and hours on end anymore. I make sure I get up and move around a little bit, because then I know that my body won't become stiff the way that it used to when I would sit there for 6-7 hours a day without thinking about it. I'm not saying you have to do everything I did. Not saying you have to go to the gym. My light died on me. Can't get it working, I'll sort it out later. But yes, so you don't have to do everything exactly the way I did to get the same results I did, because your lifestyle may be different, your body may be different, what your dietary requirements may be different. That's why I keep saying check with a medical professional, because they will know a million times better than me what is the best option for you. Right? So talk to them and they can help guide you if needed. I can only say I've noticed that by training my core at least 3 times a week and my back significantly once a week, it made carrying my big heavy camera bag a lot easier than it was last year when I wasn't doing any exercise. And I'm sure that would apply to almost everyone as well for that matter. But as I said though, check with your medical professional. But on top of exercising, the same applies to eating as well. I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist. I only know from my own experience that what I ate helped me, or the way I ate helped me to lose weight. And I made sure I ate healthy 80% of the time. And the other 20% I would eat whatever the heck I want. If you do need dietary advice, again, speak to a medical professional. I can only speak from my experience, but I can say it is as easy as, if you want to lose weight, eat less than what you need, and the opposite for gaining weight. And that's everything that I was able to do to make my job as a photographer easier. I exercise and still exercise 2 or 3 times a week now, even though I hit that 90 kilo goal. I still try to eat healthy at least 70% of the time. I just have to make sure that in that 30% I don't overdo it, which I can do sometimes. And I have noticed that when I go out to take photos, it is now a lot easier to go out with the gear I need than before. So I hope what I talked about today does help a little bit in trying to live a healthier life as a photographer, because as I mentioned, even though we are out taking photos, we still do spend a lot of time sitting down, which isn't the healthiest thing in the world. And just a few things I did to try and make sure that when I want to go out and take photos, it's no longer as hard as it was when I wasn't living a healthy lifestyle in Sydney previously. And I did that by using my knowledge as a personal trainer for what I need to eat and how I need to exercise to make that job easier. But if you do need help, go talk to that medical professional, whoever it may be, or get a personal trainer and say this is what you need help with, because they should have the knowledge and the experience to tailor something for you to help get you on the road to be able to do this job without any potential physical problems to worry about down the line. The last thing I want is not just myself, but any of my friends to miss out on taking photos because they have a bad back from carrying all that camera equipment, because to walk around with 10 to 20 kilos of camera gear, depending how much you have, isn't easy. And I don't want it to become harder because we haven't taken the preventative steps to make sure it stays easy in the long term. So thanks for watching. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, please do give it a thumbs up. That will be greatly appreciated. And if you do have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.